Your 20s are basically financial quicksand. You're standing there watching everyone around you buy expensive cars they absolutely cannot afford, taking out massive student loans for degrees that might land them a job at Starbucks, and somehow convincing themselves that avocado toast is a completely reasonable breakfast expense. Meanwhile, you're probably wondering if you should be doing something different with your money, or if you're just destined to join the ranks of people who complain about being broke while ordering DoorDash 3 times a week. Here's something that might shock you. The purchases you make in your 20s will determine whether you spend your 30s building wealth or still living paycheck to paycheck like you're stuck in some kind of financial Groundhog Day. Most people get this completely backwards. They think their 20s are for spending money on experiences and stuff, and their 30s are when they'll finally get serious about money. That's like saying you'll start training for a marathon the day before the race. I've spent way too much time analyzing why some people escape the financial hamster wheel while others run on it their entire lives. If you're tired of watching your bank account balance hover around the same depressing number month after month, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button, because today we're talking about the 7 purchases that can literally change the trajectory of your entire financial future. Now, before we dive into these 7 game-changing purchases, let me be crystal clear about something. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. These are lessons I've learned from watching people succeed and fail with money, including my own experiences of making both smart decisions and some spectacularly dumb ones. What I'm sharing with you are the purchases that consistently show up in the lives of people who achieve financial independence while they're still young enough to actually enjoy it. The reality is most people approach their 20s completely backwards. They think this is the time to live it up, spend everything they earn, and worry about money later. But people who understand compound interest know your 20s are when small, smart decisions quietly turn into massive results down the road. A $100 invested wisely at 25 becomes thousands by 50. A $100 spent on something that depreciates becomes nothing but a faded memory and maybe some debt. So let's start with purchase number 1. And this might surprise you because it's not something you buy once and forget about. It's an investment in a side hustle. Now I know what you're thinking. A side hustle isn't really a purchase. But hear me out, because this is where most people get it wrong. They think side hustles are free. The most successful ones almost never are. Whether it's buying equipment for photography, investing in a website domain and hosting, purchasing tools for a service business, or even just buying books and courses to learn a valuable skill, starting a side hustle almost always requires putting some money down first. And in your 20s, this might be the single best investment you can make, because it has the potential to change your financial trajectory faster than almost anything else. The beautiful thing about starting a side hustle in your 20s is that you probably don't have a mortgage, kids, or a mountain of financial obligations weighing you down. You can take risks. You can try things that might not work. If you fail, you can bounce back quickly. But if you succeed, you might completely rewrite your financial future. Here's what most people miss about side hustles, though. They try to start something completely outside their wheelhouse instead of building on their existing strengths. If you're naturally good with cars, start there. If you understand the websites and technology, build something in that space. If you can take decent photos, explore photography services. The point isn't to chase whatever looks most profitable on the internet this week. The point is to find something that matches your skills and interests, then invest what it takes to do it properly. Purchase number 2 is investing in index funds, specifically through a Roth IRA or a similar tax-advantaged account. This is where the magic of compound interest really shows up, and your 20s are when you have the ultimate unfair advantage: time. Let me show you some math that might blow your mind. If you invest just $200 per month into an S&P 500 index fund starting at age 22, and that investment grows at the historical average of about 10% annually, you'll have over $1 million by the time you're 67. $200 a month for 45 years equals millionaire status. That's less than $7 a day. But here's the kicker. If you wait until you're 32 to start the exact same plan, you'll end up with about $700,000 instead of $1 million. Waiting 10 years costs you roughly $300,000. This is why your 20s matter so much. The beauty of index funds is that they're basically the boring, reliable friend of the investment world. They won't promise to make you rich overnight, they won't give you flashy stories to tell at parties, but they consistently outperform most actively managed funds. They have low fees and they spread your risk across hundreds of companies instead of betting everything on a few individual stocks. And if you do this through a Roth IRA, your gains grow completely tax-free. Every dollar of growth stays in your pocket instead of going to Uncle Sam. It's like having a quiet backup plan running in the background while you focus on building your life. The key is automation. Set it up so the money gets invested before you even see it in your checking account. If you never see it, you won't spend it. Purchase number 3 might seem frivolous at first, but it can actually be one of the smartest investments you make. Buy a plane ticket. Travel while you're young, but do it strategically. This isn't about draining your savings on expensive vacations just to look cool on social media. This is about investing in experiences and connections that expand your perspective and open doors you didn't even know existed. Traveling in your 20s builds confidence in a way almost nothing else can. When you learn to navigate a foreign city, communicate across language barriers, and solve problems in unfamiliar environments, you develop a level of self-reliance that stays with you for life. You also meet people from different backgrounds and industries who could become valuable connections years down the road. The smart way to do this is by maximizing credit card rewards and travel programs. Get a travel rewards credit card. Use it for your normal, everyday expenses and pay it off in full every single month. Never carry a balance, but collect the points and use them for free or heavily discounted travel. This strategy also helps you build a strong credit score, which becomes incredibly valuable when you're ready to buy a house or invest in real estate. The fourth life-changing purchase is education, but not the kind that puts you $100,000 in debt. I'm talking about books, online courses, workshops, and any learning that increases your skills and value in the marketplace. This is honestly one of the most powerful investments you can make because the knowledge you gain compounds for decades. A $20 book can completely shift your mindset about money and success. A few $100s spent on a legitimate course can teach you skills that increase your income by thousands. The key word here is legitimate. Avoid the $997 courses from people posing next to rented Lamborghinis. Instead, learn from people who have actually built successful businesses or real careers in areas you genuinely care about. Your brain is most adaptable in your 20s. That means you can learn new skills faster now than you probably ever will again. Take advantage of that. Whether it's learning to code, understanding digital marketing, developing sales skills, or mastering a trade, every skill you acquire becomes part of your arsenal for the rest of your life. Purchase number 5 is the one that scares most people in their 20s but can absolutely transform your financial future. Buy real estate. Now I know what you're thinking. I can barely afford ramen noodles, let alone a house. But hear me out, because there are creative ways to make this work even if you're not rolling in cash. Real estate accelerates wealth building through 3 main mechanisms. First, properties generally appreciate in value over time. Second, if you rent part of the property out, you generate income that can help cover your mortgage. Third, you're using leverage, meaning you control a valuable asset with a relatively small down payment, and other people are essentially helping pay for your investment through rent. If affordability is an issue, consider house hacking. Buy a duplex and live in one unit while renting out the other. Or buy a single-family home and rent out rooms to roommates. You could even explore short-term rentals through platforms like Airbnb if your local market supports it. The goal is simple. Let other people help pay your mortgage while you build equity and benefit from appreciation. It's not always easy, and it definitely requires more hands-on management than index fund investing. But the wealth-building potential is enormous. The 6th purchase might sound boring, but it's actually one of the most important financial decisions you'll make in your 20s. Buy cheap, reliable transportation. Notice I didn't say buy a car. I said buy transportation. There's a massive difference, and understanding that difference could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Most people in their 20s think they need a nice car to look successful, so they finance $30,000 vehicles they can't afford, locking themselves into payments that eat up a huge chunk of their income for 6 or 7 years. Meanwhile, that same money could be growing in investments, compounding into serious wealth by the time they're 40. Here's the brutal truth about cars.
They are not investments. They're depreciating liabilities that cost you money every single month. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it loses thousands of dollars in value. It's like lighting money on fire, except less fun and you still have to make payments. Instead, buy a 3 to 5 year old Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, or something similarly reliable for $10,000 to $15,000. Pay cash if you can, or finance it for the shortest term possible. These cars will run for 200,000 miles if you maintain them properly, and they're cheap to insure and repair. The money you save by not having a car payment can be invested instead. Let's say you avoid a $500 monthly car payment and invest that money at 8% returns. After 30 years, you'd have over $600,000. That's the real cost of having a car payment in your 20s. Not just the money you pay, but the money you never invested. Plus, when you're not stressed about making car payments, you have more freedom to take risks with your career. You can leave a job you hate, start that side hustle, or take a position with long-term growth potential but lower starting pay. Financial freedom starts with eliminating unnecessary monthly payments, and car payments are usually the biggest unnecessary expense people have. The seventh and final purchase that can change your life is investing in your health. This one gets overlooked constantly because the benefits aren't immediately obvious.
And the costs of ignoring it don't show up right away. But your health determines everything else. How hard you can work, how long you can pursue your goals, how much energy you have for your side hustle, and whether you'll actually be around to enjoy the wealth you're building. I'm not talking about spending thousands on luxury gym memberships or hiring personal trainers, although those might be worth it if you'll actually use them. I'm talking about the basics most people in their 20s ignore because they think they're invincible. Eating real food instead of living off energy drinks and fast food. Getting consistent sleep instead of pulling all-nighters every week. Doing some form of exercise that doesn't involve walking from your couch to the refrigerator. Your 20s are when you establish the habits that will either support your goals or sabotage them for decades. If you're constantly exhausted, stressed out, or dealing with preventable health issues, it doesn't matter how smart your investment strategy is. You won't have the energy or focus to execute it properly. The hidden cost of poor health in your 20s isn't just medical bills, although those can absolutely add up. It's the opportunity cost of not being able to operate at full capacity, not being able to seize opportunities when they show up, and potentially spending your later years managing preventable problems instead of enjoying your wealth. And let's be honest about something. Building wealth requires sustained effort over many years. Whether it's managing a side hustle, staying disciplined with your investments, or dealing with the realities of being a landlord, you need physical and mental energy to make it all work. If you're running on fumes because you've been treating your body like a garbage disposal, you're sabotaging your own success. The smart approach is to think of health investments as performance enhancers for everything else you're trying to accomplish. Better sleep means better decision making. Better nutrition means more consistent energy levels. Regular exercise means better stress management and mental clarity. These aren't luxuries. They're not nice to have. They're fundamental requirements for building the kind of life you actually want. Now, here's what ties all 7 of these purchases together. They're all about playing the long game instead of optimizing for short-term gratification. Every single one requires you to think differently than most people your age. While everyone else is focused on looking successful right now, you're focused on actually becoming successful over time. This is where compound interest applies to more than just money. Every good decision you make in your 20s compounds into better outcomes later. Every side hustle skill you develop makes you more valuable in the marketplace. Every dollar you invest grows exponentially over decades. Every relationship you build through travel or education can open doors years down the road. Every month you avoid car payments frees up capital for real wealth-building activities. But the opposite is also true. Bad financial decisions compound negatively. Credit card debt compounds against you. Car payments prevent you from investing. Neglecting your health creates problems that get more expensive and more limiting over time. This is why your 20s matter so much. You're not just making decisions about today. You're setting the trajectory of your entire life. The mistake most people make is thinking these 7 purchases are separate decisions. They're not. They're all connected. Your side hustle success depends on your health and energy levels. Your ability to invest consistently depends on not having massive car payments draining your income. Your travel experiences can lead to business connections that accelerate your side hustle. Real estate investments can create the passive income that gives you the freedom to take bigger risks with your business. This interconnected approach is what separates people who build serious wealth from those who just stumble from one financial decision to the next without any coherent strategy. When you understand how these purchases reinforce each other, you stop making decisions that compete for your limited resources and start making decisions that multiply them. But here's where most people completely mess this up, and it's not what you'd expect. They try to do everything at once. They want to start 3 side hustles, max out retirement contributions, book trips to 5 countries, buy a house, and completely overhaul their diet, all in the same month. Then they get overwhelmed. They abandon everything, and they go back to buying things that make them feel successful for about 5 minutes. The smart approach is to prioritize based on your current situation and build momentum gradually. If you're drowning in credit card debt, focus on the side hustle first to generate extra income. If you're earning decent money but spending it all, start by automating your index fund investments and buying reliable transportation instead of financing something flashy. If you're financially stable but stuck in your comfort zone, invest in education and travel to expand your perspective and opportunities. The psychological side of this is crucial, and most financial advice completely ignores it. Making smart purchases in your 20s requires being comfortable being different from your peer group. While your friends are financing new cars and spending everything they earn on Instagram experiences, you're buying boring index funds and driving a 5-year-old Toyota. While they're complaining about being broke, you're quietly building a foundation that will support you for decades. This is the real test. Can you handle your friends thinking you're cheap or boring? Can you resist upgrading your lifestyle every time you get a raise? Can you stick to your investment plan when the market drops and everyone around you is panicking? These aren't just financial decisions, they're character-building exercises. Here's something nobody talks about when it comes to wealth building in your 20s. The habits you develop now determine how you handle money for the rest of your life. If you learn to live below your means, automate investments, and resist lifestyle inflation now, you'll naturally continue doing those things as your income increases. But if you build the habit of spending everything you earn and justifying purchases emotionally instead of logically, that pattern becomes incredibly hard to break later. The people who build wealth aren't necessarily smarter. They're not superhumanly disciplined. They just developed better money habits earlier and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. The people who struggle financially often repeat the same fundamental mistakes over and over because they never learn to think long term. Look, your 20s will pass whether you make smart decisions or not. The only question is what you'll see when you look back at 30. Will you be wondering where all your money went? Or will you be sitting on a foundation that gives you actual choices about how to spend your life? These 7 purchases aren't just about building wealth. They're about building the kind of person who understands that real success isn't about impressing strangers with stuff you can't afford. It's about having the freedom to wake up every morning and choose what you want to do instead of doing what you have to do just to pay bills. Start with one of these purchases today, because 10 years from now, you'll either thank yourself or wish you had.